I'd like to invite our dear and beloved Dr. Abdul Saad to deliver the main lecture for tonight. Please welcome him with three loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you, brother. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm going to try to be efficient with the thoughts that I have noted down that I want to share with you tonight, inshallah. On the occasion of the birth of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, our second holy Imam from the purified tree of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. As the brother said, Imam Hasan alayhi salam is the son of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. He is the first grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. And I want to break up my talk sharing some historical details about the Imam alayhi salam and then the relevance of his life to our current situation in Ramadan as seekers and as believers. Now, what is often missed in the remembrance of the life of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam is the immense sacrifices that he made and the incredibly difficult and hostile environment that the Imam alayhi salam found himself in, a very hostile environment socially and politically. We have to take this into account in having empathy for our Imam as the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam and as the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. We have to have empathy. Empathy means you feel for the Imam. You feel what it must have been like, the enormity of the difficulties and the calamities that faced him. And often when we think about the calamities, we remember, of course, his brother, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. But today we are here to shine a spotlight on the enormous difficulties that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam faced. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam was overwhelmed with oppression, with dhulm. He was in the house which was attacked, the house of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. He witnessed the secret burial of his mother and his father and their martyrdom. He suffered from the treachery and the lack of loyalty from members of his own army, his own troops. He suffered multiple attacks and injuries on his own blessed body during war and combat. In addition to the treachery and political mischievousness and Machiavellian nature of his arch enemy, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, la'anahullah. And then in his death, with the treachery of his own wife who poisoned him. And then, even at his own burial, if the oppression was not enough, you think, okay, the Imam has died now. people were launching arrows at the blessed body of our Imam and denying him his wish to be buried alongside his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And today, for those of you who have visited his grave at the Baqi' cemetery in Medina, you also see the oppression of our holy Imam in the bareness of his grave. There is no shrine. And the shrine that was there was bulldozed by the Saudis. So we see that Imam Hasan alayhi salam lived a life of endless calamities. And some of the ignorant Shia, the Juhal, back then and now, have the audacity to question, say, why did Imam al-Hasan sign a treaty with Muawiyah? They have the audacity to question the Imam. And if you look at the conditions that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam placed in that treaty, see, when you sign a deal, the Imam is not signing it out of his own self-interest. The conditions he gave, number one, that the Muawiyah, la'anullah, must follow the Quran. These are not conditions for his own personal welfare. Number two, that Muawiyah must not appoint any successor after him. Number three, that he must provide security for all, including the Shia of Ali alayhi salam. And number four, that he stop cursing Imam Ali alayhi salam from the pulpits. 4 basic conditions. And the wisdom of the Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam in signing this treaty was, first of all, the Imam and our Imams alayhi salam were realists. They are not living in a world of magic. This is not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the eternal battle with Iblis, wants highly awake individuals to awaken and support Hizbullah over Hizbul Shaitan. It's not that the Imam alayhi salam has a magic wand because he's the Imam and he can with a flip of a switch be granted victory. That's possible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could do that. But that is not the system he created. And in signing this treaty, Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam saved the Muslim nation as a whole, because what many do not know is at the time, the Muslim nation was under threat by the Byzantium Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire. And had the Imam went forth with his own weakened army, creating a massive civil war within the Muslim society, the whole Muslim community would come under threat. And this is where, when you measure the decision making of an Imam, you don't measure it according to your own ego. Why didn't Imam Ali alayhi salam do this? And why did Imam al-Hasan do this? The Imams are not thugs. They are not your basic street level psychology. They are wise beyond wisdom. So before you question them, first have a cognizance of their status and take heed of your own limited psyche before you question an Imam alayhi salam and put yourself in a lot of trouble spiritually. So through his actions, he saved the loyal Shias from slaughter, and he revealed the true face of Muawiyah as a traitor, as Machiavellian, as treacherous, which paved the way for the rise of his brother Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam against Muawiyah la'anahullah. So the importance for us is that in aligning with Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam today, we have a choice. Are we on the side of the Hizbul Shaitan, the party of Iblis, of Satan, or Hizbullah, the party of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And this requires you today, my brothers, to make a commitment, because we talk about the concept of tabarra. We disassociate from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And we have wilaya, tawalla to them. So the wilaya to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam has a practical component, meaning in your behavior, in your attitudes, in your conduct. That is, there is also a level of tabarra in that my behavior must not be the behavior of the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. And tawalla means my behavior must be like those of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and their akhlaq. So, okay. Allah sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So as I said, expressing love and acting on the examples of Ahlul Bayt is tawalla, and understanding their biography and their history, and dissociating from their enemies. Which brings me to the practical element of my short talk, and I'm going to conclude soon, brothers. It's Sunday night. In this month of Ramadan, which is the month in which Imam Hasan alayhi salam was born, on the 15th of this month. Ramadan, my brothers and sisters, is the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our host. You know, many of us think that Ramadan is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, astaghfirullah, He's torturing us, you know. Hunger and thirst. I'm tired, I got to go to uni, got to go to work, I need to fast. It's like we're being punished. No, to the contrary. Ramadan is the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our host. Now, the beautiful family here, Tirmidhi family, has hosted us tonight. And they have given us comfort, food, drink. That is the role of a host. So how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's put that same mind frame with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hosting us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our host in Ramadan. So He has invited us. And this is where we have a beautiful narration from Imam Hasan alayhi salam, in which the Imam guides us to view the Quran as a letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is your own personal letter. You are receiving a personal correspondence from God Almighty. And in that letter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you. What is He inviting you to? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to gain benefit through our fasting. And what is the benefit? The benefit is to get a chance to reset, to get a chance to, in a way, make a comeback. That's how you can think of Ramadan. Ramadan is the month of a comeback. You know, they talk about a comeback in a football team or soccer team, that they're down and, you know, they're going to lose and it's all over, and then they come back. And when they come back, you say, oh, man, they did it. They came back against all odds. This is Ramadan. Ramadan is the month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your host, and it's the opportunity for you to come back. Version 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, when the odds were against you, you thought, man, I'm a write-off. I'm lost. Ramadan, a whole month for you to make your comeback, for you to be purified. And Imam Hasan alayhi salam, in a narration, tells us, لا تعجل الذنب بالعقوبة واجعل بينهما للاعتذار طريقة. Imam alayhi salam says, do not be quick in punishing the sin or the sinner, condemning either yourself or another sinner. The Imam says, leave a corridor, leave a passageway, tariqa, leave a little bit of room, man, a gap for apology, for repentance. This is Ramadan. Ramadan is like that team who's down on the first half and they go into the locker room, and you find that the coach talks to them and motivates them, and something happens in that halftime talk, man. Something happens to that team, and they come back on the second half. Think, what happened, man? It's a whole different spirit, a whole different psychology, and everyone is convinced that they're done for, they're gone. and they secure victory. They secure victory against all odds. This is Ramadan. Ramadan, if we want to borrow a Latin phrase, it's the, they say annus mirabilis. Annus is the miracle year. They talk about that in Einstein, in particular year, I think 1909. He published all of his papers about general relativity. It was a year of miraculous breakthroughs. They call it his annus mirabilis, the miracle year. We can say Ramadan is the mensis mirabilis, the miracle month, where you can engineer your own comeback with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your host. So the Imam says, leave room for apology and repentance. Don't be so quick to condemn yourself, to write yourself off. As long as you are alive, you're not a write-off. So this Ramadan is that passageway, that opening. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to gain benefit, wants us to make a comeback. So I want to leave you, brothers and sisters, with some practical thoughts. We have about 2.5 weeks of Ramadan left. And my theme for you, I invite you to look at the next 2.5 weeks of Ramadan as back to basics. You know when someone's very overweight and you say, you need to cut calories and you need to go to the gym and do a full body workout 4 times a week, and then you need to take your supplements, and then you need to get your sleep ready, and then you need to calculate your protein. Guys, man, I can't do it, man. I'm going to fail. Too much. Back to basics. Set yourself up for success. What does that mean? Don't burden yourself with excessive burden of a'mal. If you are struggling to fulfill the obligation, fulfill the obligation, fulfill the wajib first. Feel good about yourself. If today I fasted, I abided by the ahkam of the Psalm, it was a complete fast, tick. I did my prayers on time. You are a success. That's successful. That is, many of us think, feel guilty. 100 out of 100. And this is where our Imams are helping us. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has a narration where he says, وَلَا تُكْرِهُ أَنفُسَكُمْ عَلَى الْعِبَادَةِ. The Imam says, do not force worship on yourself, making it unpleasant. If you're going to do something more than the wajib, make sure that you actually want to do it. Like the overweight person. Okay, I did my calories today. I've dialed it in. I feel so good. You know what? I want to go to the gym and I want to do an extra 30-minute session to feel a pump. But I want that. Do it. But you say, I have to do it. Don't do it. Because if you do it because you have to, that extra worship you're doing mentally gets contaminated with, struggle, should. You're defeating yourself in the psychological sense. Because you now have a negative association with that act of worship. But your ego says, you should do it. No. Say, hey, hang on. Let me pick something that I want to do. It could be as easy as Tasbih al-Zahra alayhi salam. That takes you 90 seconds. And you say, you know what? That felt good. I'd also like to listen to Ziyarat Ashura. Okay. And then you say, you know what? Okay, I think I'm good. I think if I do any more now, it's going to become mechanical. I'm going to read the ziyarah or listen to it because I should. Don't. Stop there. Stop. Stop on a high, on a spiritual high. Sorry. Stop on a spiritual high. Don't keep going to a point where it becomes mechanical worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not interested in that. He's interested in your heart. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam tells us, وَلَا تُكْرِهُ أَنفُسَكُمْ عَلَى الْعِبَادَةِ. Do the basics, and then anything that is additional, only if your heart leans toward it. Because when your heart leans toward it, it's sweet. When you're doing it mechanically, it loses the sweetness. So you defeat yourself. Be careful. Brothers and sisters, I don't want to take too much of your time. Inshallah, those thoughts, remembering the biography of our blessed Imam alayhi salam and his legacy, and those practical tips that I've shared with you have been of some help. Thank you so much to the Tirmidhi family who have hosted this beautiful occasion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them eternally. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Thank you very much for that very enlightening speech. I remember I was saying, let's do the good deeds. We're going to ship them to the next world. But then thank you for putting the balance to not going more. So thank God for the balance.
Thank you, brother.
First question is there a link between fasting and mental health benefits?
The short answer is yes. There is a link between fasting and mental health benefits. At a purely physical level, fasting lowers inflammation in the body and in the brain. So when the inflammation is lower, your mood is better, you can think clearer, you have less brain fog. And also fasting is, from a spiritual perspective, helps put us into a higher vibration, because when we are not so focused on the physical body and its physical appetites and needs and desires, that is a vehicle to becoming more spiritual and, in a way, connecting with something greater than our animal nature. Not that our animal nature is bad, the base nature, food, drink, reproduction, but with fasting we are going beyond that nature. So yes, absolutely it has benefits for our mental and spiritual health. I try to do rapid fire answers given the time, right? Not too long. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. What would Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam do in relation to the Zionists of our time?
Whoa, that's a very deep question. I can't speak for the Imam. What I would say is, what he would do was that he would appear, based on my reading of the history, the Imam would appeal to the community to rise up. And of course we would find that what the Imam is telling us to do would come at a very high price. Like the brother said, would you be willing to sell your house? Would you be willing to let go of your career and go and fight? Would you be willing to whatever, resign from your plum job? Would you be willing to sacrifice? So the Imam would ask us to make a sacrifice, but not a blind sacrifice, because he would be the commander-in-chief. He's the Imam, he's the leader. So really it's about my ability to have faith in the Imam, is what he's telling me to do. If I submit to it, no questions asked, Nasr is guaranteed. But my own ego is going to question the Imam. You want me to do that? No, I can't do that. So the Imam in principle would give us the commandments that would lead us to victory. The letdown would be we would likely lack the faith to execute those commandments. And that is the whole history of the Imams alayhi salatu wassalam.
The next question is, can you please explain God's wisdom briefly?
God's wisdom, can I?
God's wisdom.
Oh, gut wisdom? Well, I guess your gut is what's called a center of intelligence. So we all have a head center of analysis, a heart center of feeling, and a belly or gut center where you feel an immediate truth. So when they say trust your gut, right? So the gut is a center of intelligence that is very important for survival, because if you have to analyze something too quickly, like there's a predator, something's off, if you process it in your mind, maybe it's too late and that truck has come, or that predator has come, or that dog has eaten you. So your gut instinct is a very immediate center of intelligence, so that you can make quick responses or quick reactions. However, it has to be balanced with the intellect, because there are some people that just go by gut instinct and they become very impulsive and create problems for themselves and others. So it must be balanced with the heart center, the feeling center, and the intellect center. We have three. Gut, so we have the head, the heart, the belly, or the gut.
Thank you very much. How can we use neuroplasticity to enhance our mental capabilities? How to use neuroplasticity?
Well, neuroplasticity is, these are very psychological questions. Okay, neuroplasticity is the idea that your brain basically can always change and adapt. The human brain is not actually stuck. You can learn. But it's not that you can just learn new information. You can become a different version of yourself. So the idea of neuroplasticity is you can change your brain to such an extent that you become a different person, a different identity. And we have examples of neuroplasticity in our history of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. One of the most famous ones we know is Hur and Imam Hasan alayhi salam. But one less well, maybe one that's less well talked about is Bishr. Bishr, who was at the time of Imam Musa al-Qadim alayhi salam. And Bishr was I guess you could say he was a player, playboy lifestyle, mansions and all sorts of degenerate behavior and like nightclub behavior. And he had an encounter with Imam al-Qadim alayhi salam, in which the Imam told him something to the effect of, yeah, that you are truly enslaved. For if you were free, right, you would be a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that one sentence of the Imam awakened Bishr, and he became, in Islamic history, a great saint. So neuroplasticity is the idea that you can use your brain to change your brain. You have within you the capability to become someone different, unrecognizable. Right? So if you're the sinner, can literally become a saint. Right? So that's the idea of neuroplasticity. And it's going against this deterministic model that it's all genetics and your brain is hardwired. It's not. That's actually not scientific. It's what you believe. So for example, if someone believes that they are attractive, let's just say physically attractive. A young man, he actually believes he's handsome. If he believes he's handsome, actually believes it, then he's handsome. If someone believes that they're a good salesperson and that they're successful, then they're a good salesperson. Because your belief changes reality. So if I believe I'm a good salesperson and I'm selling you a product, my belief will influence you because I believe it. Then you're going to think, wow, he believes it so strongly. This product must be good. So when you look at good salespeople, they're not trying to convince you to buy the product. They themselves are convinced, and through their conviction, they convince you. This is neuroplasticity, the power of belief. And if you're interested in it, there's a book you should read called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay?
Thank you very much, doctor. Yes, that story relates very closely, as you said. I remember the Imam Musa al-Qadim alayhi salam, he was standing at the door of that person, and a female slave came forward and he told her, your owner, does he have a master? She said no. And he told her, it figures, that's why he's doing these things in the middle of the night. Instead of the prayer, he has all these people dancing. So she went home and she told him, and when he heard this, he said, who told you this? She said, someone who's very thin, and if the wind will come, it will push him. He ran outside without wearing anything in his feet, bare feet, crying, saying, I'm so sorry. Yes, I have a master.
That's right.
I'm not without a master. He has a master.
He became awakened at that moment. He woke up.
Thank you, doctor. I will say the next question. How can the concept of hope help people in miserable situations and chronic diseases?
Well, hope, yes, hope is essential, because hope is that we always have the opportunity to change. Now, the question of hope is, we give up hope because the ego wants an immediate result. And if it doesn't see the immediate result, it loses faith. So the example I give is if you're out camping and you've established where your base camp is, but then you've gone away from the base camp. You've gone hunting or you've gone for a swim. You're several kilometers away. And you recognize at some point you're trying to come back to your base camp, but you realize you're lost. You've lost your way. So in that moment, you're not feeling very hopeful, right? Now, what you need to do in this moment is first recognize you're off track and then make a decision to change direction to get back to your base camp. Take a step in the right direction. Now, when you take that step in the right direction, you're not going to immediately get back there, but you've taken the first step to do it. So hope is when you say, I'm now going in the right direction. So if we say, let's give an example. Let's say hope represents a destination. Let's say the Gold Coast. That's hope. I'm in Sydney. And I want to get to the Gold Coast, but I tell you, I started in Sydney and now I'm in Wollongong. Say, Brother Abdul Hamid, wrong way. It's going south. Gold Coast is up north. So when I change course, I change the direction of my car, and now I'm driving and now I'm at Gosford. You wouldn't say, Abdul Hamid, you failed. You didn't get to the Gold Coast. No, I'm going to get there. It's the direction that's more important. So hope is understanding the direction you're going. We lose hope because according to our timeline, we're not there yet. But it's not according to our timeline. It's according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timeline. What we do is do the work headed in that direction. And if we do the work headed in the right direction, we will be gifted, inshallah, victory according to God's timeline, not our timeline. So when we lose hope, it's because the ego has tricked us that we are not where we should be according to its timeline. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay.
Thank you very much. So one step in the right direction is enough to grant us hope, inshallah. Next question is, how can we use spiritual motives and practices to balance mental abilities?
Well, the spiritual practices are one of the dimensions of our human nature. We can say we have 4 dimensions, if you want to use this model. Have a physical nature, we have an emotional nature, we have a mental nature, and we have a spiritual nature. Now, if we do not have a connection to our spiritual nature, we're going to have trouble. And we're going to feel empty, we're going to feel depressed, we're going to chase the dunya, and even when we achieve success or conquest, it doesn't fill us, it doesn't touch our heart. So the spiritual is just as important as the physical, but it needs to be in balance. So you have to make time for your body and your health, you have to make time for your emotions and your relationships, you have to make time for your intellect and its development, and you have to make time for your spirituality. Everything has to be in proportion. Proportionate. Islam is about proportionality and the middle path, right? So for a young Muslim man today, 2024, what would that look like? Well, I've got to make time for physical culture, working out, eating clean, right? Dialing in my sleep, very important. Being fit. I have to make time for my emotional side, my relationship to myself and to others, my heart connections, my feelings, and what are the feelings that dominate my life? Am I in a low vibration, fear, guilt, shame? Not good. I have to also attend to my mental life. I have to develop my mind. And one of the most important ways to develop the mind is through reading or listening to material, audiobooks, reading, lectures, having mentors, mental culture. And the 4th one is spiritual development, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, your tawassul through them, seeking their intercession, grieving their grief, having happiness for their happiness. This is the spiritual dimension. All 4 have to be balanced.
Next question, and there's only one more after this. Is there a connection between spiritual strength and mental health?
The short answer is yes, of course, because the spiritual strength is what gives you the ability to have faith when there is an obstacle at the dunya level, at the earth level. So if you don't have, because the spiritual part gives you a vision, you have a purpose. For the young men here, for example, if you spiritually have the identity that I'm a Shia of Ali alayhi salam, and then there's an obstacle in my way. Maybe your heart is broken, maybe you like someone that don't like you back, maybe you don't get good marks in an exam. You say, oh my God, I'm so heartbroken. Okay, you're heartbroken, that's fine. But you say, but as a Shia of Ali, at some point I've got to say, okay, enough. I've got to bounce back now. I've got to be resilient. So that gives you, your connection with Imam Ali alayhi salam gives you a strength, an identity. Now that is a spiritual identity, your connection to the Imam, which helps you physically, mentally and emotionally in your day-to-day life. You say, as a Shia of Ali, doesn't mean I don't get to feel bad feelings, but I can't be a victim. I can't become pathetic. I can't ever beg someone to love me. I have to have self-respect, man. If I'm the Shia of Ali, you know, Imam Ali alayhi salam, is it, maybe Sayyid can help me, yu'ta wa la yu'ti? People, he's like the Kaaba. People go to him, he doesn't go to them. So this isn't about you being arrogant, but say, if I'm the Shia of Ali, I have a level of self-respect. And self-respect means when I'm disappointed in life, my response to this disappointment is proportionate. I'm not going to sink into a deep depression and negativity and a pity party. I'm saying, okay, I'm upset by that. I'm hurt by that. That's fine. But do I allow it to become my identity and derail me as a Shia of Ali? No. No. Okay? So your spiritual identity gives you strength even at a physical level. Even when you're pumping out those reps in the gym, right? Your spiritual, don't see it as disconnected. Oh, but the gym is physical. It's also spiritual. Everything in Islam is connected. If you don't see the connection, then you are living in an internal contradiction. So you say, okay, I'm going to the gym. How can I make the gym part of my Islamic identity? What niyyah can I have when I go there? And I'm building my body and I'm engaging in physical culture that is congruent and in alignment with being a Shia of Ali. Because it could be out of alignment with it. You could use it for bad things, to become arrogant, to be a bully, to intimidate people. Or you could use it to say, as a Shia of Ali, for example, as a young man, it's important that I'm at a healthy weight. Why? Because it means I'm in proportion. That's something I struggled with for most of my life. So I'm not here to make anyone feel bad. But connected spiritually rather than, oh, I need to be at a good weight because the doctor told me so. Yes, do that. Or because I want to get married. Good. But ultimately, being very overweight and being physically out of shape, is it consistent with being a Shia of Ali or inconsistent in an ultimate sense? Inconsistent. You see sometimes shuyukha with turbans that are morbidly obese. Unless they've got a genetic condition, you think something's out of whack there. You are not following what you're preaching. And it makes it hard for people because your subconscious mind picks up the incongruence. So Islam is here to make us congruent. Everything is in alignment. Now, if there's something in your life that's out of alignment, you say, man, my physical health, work on it. Bring it into alignment. The more aligned you are, the more healthy you'll be. So I don't say these things to make people feel bad. I'm saying these things to give you direction. When you're working on improving an aspect of your life, see it through a spiritual lens. See it through your identity as a Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Link it back to that ultimate identity, and I promise you, whatever you're working on, you're not going to quit because you've linked it to your highest spiritual identity. If it's linked to a basic identity, because the doctor said, I want to lose weight, I want to get married, if that thing you want doesn't happen, then you give up. Or once you get it, if it was linked to that goal, you're not going to do it anymore. But if it's linked to your highest identity, right, your connection with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, you've given yourself a major advantage psychologically. You're not going to quit now. All right?
Thank you very much, doctor. I think also looking, if we wanted motivation and be certain about what we need to do physically, we need to also, I would do this, look back at Ahlul Bayt. Did they say anything regarding that? For example, Tazkiyatul Jism, for example, Tazkiyah of the body.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, did they say anything, or what is the principle? So obviously, we can deduce that Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam would not expect their followers to, would expect them to be, what's the word? In proportion in every area, proportionality. And if we're not, to say, how can I correct that? So Islam is all about moderation. Even with Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, there are two extremes. There's ghulu and there's tanqis. Ghulu is you exaggerate the level of an Imam alayhi salam, that you compromise your tawheed, and if the Imam were to see you, he'd say to you, be quiet, don't talk about me like that. Tanqis is the other extreme. You belittle and degrade the status of the Imam. Like with Imam Ali, like, oh, astaghfirullah, his enemies, Ibn Taymiyyah, la'anahullah, he says that Imam Ali alayhi salam was after the ri'asa. He was after like a presidency. He was seeking political conquest and he failed. Astaghfirullah, right? And the Ahlul Bayt said, both are our enemies. The one that does ghulu and the one that does tanqis. Be moderate. We are the perfect servants of God. We are the perfect manifestations of human nature. But we're not divine. All right? Moderation.
MashaAllah, ahsant. Last question, and that question is by me. Why do you think people keep trying and downloading games and new games and deleting them and leaving them and moving to other ones, as if they're never satisfied with any game?
Why they keep downloading, like downloading video games? You mean they're trying to beat an addiction and they keep coming back? Is that the example?
No, so they download games, delete them, get new games. Once they finish that, delete it. Like it's a cycle.
But why are they deleting them? Because they say no more?
New games, different types.
Okay. But when they delete them, it's not because they want to stop forever. Why are they deleting the games?
They figured it out.
Okay.
Figured out how it works.
I guess that's pretty normal, isn't it? If you figured out how, I mean, so they're getting bored with the game. You wouldn't keep playing a game over and over. Right? But you're not asking about someone that's an addict.
They become addicted with this process.
With the process, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's the question? Why do they do that?
Yeah, why do you think they do that?
Well, his brother.
It's like use, toss, use, and toss.
Uh huh.
Like keep like a plastic bag, or you keep like takeaway.
Yeah.
You half of it, you toss it away.
Got it.
You half of
Okay.
it, half of it, toss it away.
So it's like the consumer society. So I guess this is something that's not deeply satisfying. So you have to keep. So it's hijacking the dopamine system in the brain. Dopamine is all about reward, but with the video games and the social media, it's activating massive amounts of dopamine. So you then need a bigger high to do it. Whereas if you find in normal brain chemistry, dopamine is always balanced with another chemical called serotonin. And when your dopamine and serotonin are balanced, you get pleasure from simple things that you never get tired of. The beauty of a sunset, spending time with a loved one, enjoying meal with a family, going to the beach, going to the ocean, being in nature. You don't say, "Oh, I'm sick of it now. I'm sick of this beautiful mountain."
What's the technique for finding that balance?
Well, the first one is to remove the stimuli that are hijacking your dopamine system. So you've got to reset your system, whether it's the video games or the scrolling or the TikTok or the bad pictures and videos, to give the system a break. And for most people, that can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days to reset your dopamine receptors. And then you'll find you will start to feel pleasure from wholesome things.
Would it be like a rapid shut off or a systematic increase of whatever addiction you have? Like should you just
You know what? That's a good question. For certain material, like if it's bad pictures and videos, you can't really slowly do it. You got to make a decision because, yeah. So for most of them, it's going to be making a decision, but having enough support to carry you through that decision, rather than slowly reducing. Like that's one example. Another one might be if someone's drinking 2 liters of Coke a day. Okay, maybe they go down to drinking 1 liter, 500 mils, 1 glass. But with certain technological addictions, they're quite nasty. So a better approach would be a version of cold turkey with enough support, where you understand what's about to hit you, the withdrawal symptoms, and you can break through it, rather than little bit by little bit, because the brain is now wired neurologically. So it's like it's either on or off. It cannot be just a little bit at a time. Yeah? Mm-hmm. All right, brothers and sisters. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Ahsantum, Jazakumullah khairan, dear Dr. Abdul Saad and Brother Saeed. Alhamdulillah, truly incredible and comprehensive, detailed explanations. And inshallah, I know I benefited a lot from hearing that, and I hope everyone did as well. For his love and well-being, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One thing that did draw in my mind, it's a parallel, because what the dear Hajj mentioned about not forcing religion when you're not feeling it, that's exactly what was mentioned by Sheikh Ali Saftari in the 10 nights in Ramadan, backed up with evidences from the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, to avoid some of the mustahabat when you're not really feeling it because of the negativities that get associated with those actions. Just focusing on the wajibat, and then when our heart is invested in those actions, then truly engaging in the mustahabat. So inshallah we can take that lesson to heart. Engage when you truly feel it, so you can associate the very best with your religion on a mental level in your heart all across, inshallah. So jazakumullahu khairan once again.